guys, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Show, the #1 wrestling show meant specifically for casual wrestling fans. Each and every week, I, the Notorious Nerdy D, topples the biggest questions in pro wrestling. You can find the show every Wednesday on YouTube and on your favorite podcast network. If you enjoy the content, make sure to join the Casual Community Discord group. The link is in the description of this video and also in the bottom corner of the video. You can ask anyone in the comments or in the Discord. It is a chill place to hang out and talk wrestling amongst a lot of other things. Lots of conversation starters, tons of things to talk about. Probably if there's something you want to talk about, you can find somebody in there to talk to you about it. But make sure to join the Discord. Cool place, right? Let's jump right into today's episode. Let's jump right in. And quickly, before we get into kind of the meat of the podcast, let's talk about Monday Night Raw, because that was it. That was the last Monday Night Raw before we jump into WrestleMania. This is the Super Bowl, guys. This is it. This is our big week. And while I've been, I'd say, underwhelmed, and it may even come off that I'm a little bit disappointed, but this is still WrestleMania. This is still our big show. This is still the one that we look forward to, and I'm optimistically excited. I'm hoping that all the negative, all the things I've said for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I hope I'm wrong. That's what it is. Going into the biggest show of shows, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I've got it all wrong up until this point, and I hope Omos and Brock Lesnar tear the roof off. I hope that Cody and Roman Reigns shows me that that was definitely the main event that was to be made for WrestleMania. But coming out of this last Monday Night Raw, I didn't gain any excitement. In fact, there were parts that I almost, kind of fell asleep during. Raw did not hold my attention the way that I would want Monday Night Raw to hold my attention going into WrestleMania week. And so I'm a little bit, I'm optimistically excited. But what I wanted to do this week, last week we talked about our excitement levels. This week, since WWE didn't do it, since WWE went all the way up until the last minute of WrestleMania without setting a match order, I thought it would be fun, along with giving my predictions for WrestleMania, if we tried to predict the order of the matches. Because honestly, if you've bought a ticket to WrestleMania this year, you're screwed. You have no idea what you're going to see. Now, was this a trick to try to get people to buy tickets to both days? Maybe so. I don't know. Seems just like really, really bad kind of customer appreciation to me, that you could buy a ticket valued at $400 and something up to $4,000 or $5,000 and have no clue what you're going to see. Imagine buying a ticket to a movie, showing up, and you don't know what movie you're watching. Imagine buying tickets to a Broadway play and they just give you there's 40 possible people who could be in this Broadway play, but you don't know who's going to be there on what night. Imagine that. And you don't know what story you're going to see. You don't know. Imagine having to try to decide, if you held off to the last minute thinking, I'll buy my tickets when I know who's going to be where. And imagine having zero idea who you're about to go see when you show up to supposedly the biggest, most expensive wrestling event of the year. That's asinine. So let's take a little time. Let's try and put together this card. So we know 2 things about this card. We know how it starts and we know how it finishes. And that's it. That's all WWE has given us. We know that night 1, opening up the show, we have Austin Theory and John Cena. Now, I've heard numerous people say they think this is because John Cena wants to get out of there. I don't think that's what this is. I think this match works as an opening match. I think you open the show with John Cena. You're going to get the crowd hyped. I don't know that the expectations for this match are just over the top. I think people expect it to be a good match. I think it's pretty agreed upon throughout most of the podcasting and content creator communities that Austin Theory is winning this match. So I'm going to pick Austin Theory to win the opening match of WrestleMania, but I can see why this is opening up. I'm okay with this. So then from coming out of John Cena, coming out of Austin Theory, where do you go? What follows that up? And to me, I think if I'm going to, I kind of want my show to ramp up and maybe kind of have, it can have a lull in the middle, but I want to go from that match to another big match. I'm going to go second match of the night is going to be Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio. And I think this is one they want to get out of the way. And I say that because I think WWE has a plan with who they want to main event night 1 and night 2. And I think that the organic builds of a couple matches have gotten in the way a little bit. I mean, and as weird as that is to say, I think they've gotten in the way of this like hard-nosed plan that Triple H has. So I'm going Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio, second match of the night. And I have Dominic Mysterio winning that match. And just dream situation, Vicky Guerrero shows up. I think that pairing Vicky Guerrero with Dominic Mysterio would be a match made in heaven. You would have two of probably the most disliked people in pro wrestling coming together. I think that he could still have an influence with the Judgment Day, but he definitely would start to build his own identity using Vicky Guerrero. But here's my problem. This is my problem. This is reality for Triple H and WWE. When I look at the card, and I had a conversation with someone the other day about, you used to hate Dominic Mysterio. Never hated him. I was extremely critical of Dominic Mysterio. I never hated him. I think he's come a long way. I think he's found comedy. He's found a comedic character to elevate himself. I still don't think he's ever going to be a major player in WWE. I think he's found a comfortable position in the upper mid card as a comedic based character who blends well with Rhea Ripley and blends well with this idea that like he's kind of a spoiled child. The situation works for Dominic, but I do think at this point, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, based upon organic crowd reactions, being on the West Coast of the country, this should have been the main event of night 1. Now I'm sure I'm going to take shit for saying that, right? There's going to be a million people say, oh no, there's better matches for night 1, the main event. I just think organically, when you listen to the crowd, the reaction that Dominic Mysterio got when he finally disciplined, or the reaction that Rey Mysterio got when he finally disciplined Dominic Mysterio was one of the loudest pops outside of Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and KO and Sammy and the Uso situation. And I think this would have been a perfect way to end night 1. It feels like the culmination of something big, but instead, I think WWE is going to stick this early in the card. It's not going to get the time that it should get. It's not going to get the respect and the love that it should have gotten. And we're going to go second match, Dom and Rey, with Dominic Mysterio winning that match. Third match of the night, I think this is, so I have 6 matches going on Saturday. And I think that we go third match, we go Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins. And I think that I'm calling Seth Rollins to win this match. And I think Logan has discussed being at the end of his contract. I think by him coming out and saying that, he may be flirting with the idea of taking time away from wrestling, that he's kind of fulfilled his obligations. But I think in reality, Seth Rollins can propel himself forward using the momentum off of a match like this, using the momentum of somebody like Logan Paul, who has built up a little bit of momentum in WWE. Seth Rollins could springboard off of that. But I think third match of the night keeps the energy up. It's kind of a mini main event, right? So we build on a slow slope from Theory to Dom to then Seth winning that third match. Then fourth match, I'm going to go Edge and Finn Balor Hell in a Cell. Now, this was a tough decision because it does feel like coming out of the gates, lots of firepower. But I think that based on what I have on night 2, that night 1 is going to need some of those high level mid card's a wrong word for it, but like these high level big expectation matches. And so I think Edge and Finn Balor, we're assuming that Edge is going to be in his brood form, and after Monday Night Raw, it's safe to assume that Finn is going to be a demon. And so this is going to be an extremely good match. I think the safest place to put this is fourth on the card, Hell in a Cell. It kind of gives people what they paid for Saturday night in that big style, like gimmicky match. And like I said, I think Finn Balor comes out on top in this one. What I have for the fifth match is the women's fatal four-way tag team match. Ronda and Shayna, I believe, will win that match. But look, guys, these are time holders. These are time fillers. That's all these four team matches are. They're in there to, if we've got 10 extra minutes, you guys got 10 extra minutes. If we've got 3 extra minutes, you've got 3 minutes. All those are buffers to make sure that the main event has the proper amount of time that it needs to tell its exact story. So then last on night one, and this is controversial because I think almost everybody I've seen has KO, Sammy, and the Usos ending night one. But I think ending night one, I think they're going to go Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. I think they want the visual of Rhea Ripley holding up the title as Saturday night goes off air. I truly believe that is the visual. I understand that, and I've said this over and over. The main event of the whole weekend is KO, Sami Zayn versus the Usos. That is the main event. But the problem is, it doesn't matter where you put that match. It will be successful. So why waste it at the end of Saturday night? That visual is not going to be that impactful going into the next night, no matter what. If the Usos lose, no matter where they lose, that's going to rattle Roman Reigns. And I assume that having it on the same night so that story can kind of play out through the night, I think that makes more sense than trying to end Saturday night with a tag team match that a lot of people are expecting Sammy and KO to win. So if I'm WWE, last match of the night, Saturday night, is Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley because you can sell it as a main event. I believe they're going to put on a show, contrary to what other people may think. I think they're going to put on a hell of a main event. I think that you can give them the time to tell a story, and I think Rhea Ripley wins that match, and the visual is Saturday night, Rhea Ripley holding up the women's title. You can do the whole confetti. You can sell it as a major, major, major event, and you can propel Rhea Ripley for the next year as the biggest deal in WWE. If you put that, and they've hinted at it being a main event. So I think that they're going to follow through with that. So for night one, I have Theory Cena going first, followed by Dominic and Rey, followed by Logan and Seth, followed by Edge and Finn, followed by a women's fatal four-way, and finishing with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. And I think Rhea Ripley goes over and ends the night as the SmackDown Women's Champion. So let's go to night two. So let's go Sunday night now. Sunday night, what I have here is I have Sheamus versus Gunther versus Drew McIntyre starting off Sunday night. And that is simply because Sheamus and Gunther have a history of starting off the show. That doesn't matter where you put them, but if you put them first on the card, they put on a show, you add Drew McIntyre to that. I think that warms the crowd up. That doesn't need the lights, the glitz and the glamour. It doesn't need, it can still be a little light outside. That's an open, it's like a semi-open roof in Los Angeles. So I assume based on the time difference and everything, it's going to still be light outside. And this is the kind of match that doesn't need all the glitz and glamour. You can start night two, Sheamus, Gunther versus Drew, and have a big opening moment match. Now, I think this is, I haven't seen this going around everywhere I've looked, but I think Sheamus wins this match. I think Sheamus becomes a Grand Slam champion at WrestleMania 39. I think he gets the visual of holding up the Intercontinental Championship. I think that moving forward, him and Drew McIntyre will battle back and forth for the next couple of months for the Intercontinental Championship. And I think Gunther's moving on to bigger and better things. I think that's where we're going with that. So following that match, I'm going to go Lita, Becky, and Trish versus Damage Control. I didn't know where to put this match. It just feels like coming out of that first match, this is a solid second match. I don't have a lot of rhyme or reason other than it just kind of fit into the order here. And I think I have Lita and Becky. No. I had Damage Control winning this. This is one I have no clue. I'm so out on this. My thought process was if you turn Trish against Becky here, it gives you a great opportunity to start that story. More than likely, though, you know what? I'm not going to go Damage Control. I'm going to go Lita, Trish, and Becky on this. I'm switching my choice on air here because I don't think they start the Trish Stratus turn till later. I think they want that for SummerSlam. So it may be too soon They may plant the seeds. We may see some trouble in the water, but I think that Lita, Becky, and Trish win this. I think that Ronda and Shayna winning the tag team titles, the number one contenders match would set up a babyface Lita and Becky versus Ronda and Shayna at Backlash. So I think that makes sense. That I'm going to go with that, changing that on the fly. I think coming out of that match, we're going to go Brock Lesnar versus Omos in kind of the middle of the card. I have Brock Lesnar winning this match. I don't think he's done. Like, a lot of people are assuming that this is Brock Lesnar's final match. I don't see it that way. Brock has too easy of a schedule and too easy of a job to just walk away at this point. I think that Brock picks up the win over Omos. I think that all is kind of right in the industry, and then Brock moves forward, and he probably has 2 or 3 big time matches left before he rides off into the sunset. I just don't see Brock Lesnar leaving after losing to Omos. It just feels like a very unfitting ending to the Brock Lesnar story. So I'm going Brock Omos, third match Sunday night. Brock Lesnar wins. Then this is where it gets weird. I'm going to go fourth match, kind of a mini main event. I'm going KO and Sammy versus the Usos. 2 matches before Roman has to go out. I think that this match gets put on. I think this is the longest match of the night. I think this match gets ample time. I think there's going to be lots of storytelling going on here, lots of emotion going on here. And I think KO and Sammy win. I think this is the moment. I think they win. And I think that creates the beginning of the cracks in the bloodline. And so, fourth match of the night, longest match of the night. I want 2 points if I get that called correctly. And I think KO and Sammy win that match. After that, I think we slide into Bianca and Asuka. I think that's kind of a cool down match. I don't think there's high expectations for that match. I think we're all under the assumption that Bianca Belair wins that match. So it just feels like a place that you could slide that match in, give them the amount of time they need to tell their story. But this is honestly kind of a filler match for Bianca to break the longest Raw Women's Championship streak and move forward. Not much more to say about that. I don't think that match has been built up enough. I don't think that match has the hype levels it should have had. I think that match fittingly is fifth and kind of a time filler. Right before the main event, let's go men's fatal 4-way. I have the Viking Raiders winning that match. Does it matter? Like, I don't understand where the opportunity is for any other tag team right now, because the assumption I have is even if KO and Sammy win the tag team titles, they're going to stay in a storyline with the Usos for this foreseeable future. So whoever wins this fatal 4-way is probably going to get a throwaway tag team match on SmackDown where they come in, they challenge for the titles, they get beat, or the Usos get involved in some way. So I just went Viking Raiders. I went a heel tag team. They're the only true heel tag team in that match. So that's just based on that. I'm going with that assumption. And then we got the big show. And I don't mean Paul White. I mean, we have the main event. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, closing out WrestleMania 39. We may not have asked for it, but this is the match that we're getting. I think it will be a longer match than we expect. I don't think it's going to be the 8-minute match that we got last year with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. I think this is going to be meticulous. I think there's going to be an extremely high amount of near falls. I think that this is going to feel at points like it could go either way. And I think, I'm saying it now, coming out of WrestleMania 39, Roman Reigns is still going to be the WWE Undisputed World Heavyweight Champion, whatever you call it, whatever the name they gave that title. I truly believe that coming out of WrestleMania, Roman keeps it. So I think the Usos lose the belt. I think Roman keeps the belt. And I think the dissension begins because I think Roman begins to belittle the Usos, which will begin to start to expose the cracks that are in the bloodline. It'll begin Jey Uso's kind of turn to being a babyface, I believe. I think Cody benefits from losing it one time. I think getting all the way and not completing the story is more important to Cody Rhodes than to just the story right now is Cody returns to WWE, beats Seth Rollins 3 times, gets injured, disappears, comes back, wins Royal Rumble as the number 30, then what? Wins the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania? I don't think so. I think that story is much more compelling if we go from where we are with Cody screaming, I have to finish the story, to Cody not finishing the story and having unfinished business and kind of having to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to get it done. I think that's the best story you can tell. I honestly do. So Sunday night, I got Sheamus, Gunther, Drew, with Sheamus winning that. I got Lita, Trish, Becky versus Damage Control. I have Lita and Becky winning that. Brock versus Omos, Brock winning that. KO Sammy versus the Usos. I have KO Sammy winning that. Bianca versus Asuka. I have Bianca winning that. Men's 4-way. I have the Viking Raiders winning that match. And I have Roman Reigns going over Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania 39. All right, let's talk about some news from this week. So one of the main headlines I saw was WWE sell process heating up as multiple parties are interested in buying the company. This comes from a report from CNBC, who said the sale process is well underway and that NBC Comcast is not in the runnings to buy the WWE. I find this interesting. There's still a part of me that believes this is all smoke and mirrors, right? Vince McMahon, it's the old thing. Like you can say something's for sale, but if you price it high enough, nobody can buy it. And there's a part of me that believes that's what Vince McMahon has done, right? This costs $50 billion and there's nobody who can afford that price tag. So he can sit around and say, yeah, we're negotiating all over the place, but nobody has the realistic chance to buy it. I think that more than likely, this is probably a real story. And I think that it comes down to, ultimately, WWE is probably going to be sold. I think Vince McMahon's ready to wash his hands of the ownership part of the company. I don't think he's really ready to let go of the power that comes with the company. So I still have remained under the idea that ultimately, I think there's 2 realistic people that could buy WWE. I believe that Disney is probably poking around trying to see what they could do with WWE and how they could structure it. It does have more of a family wrestling feel. So I think that Disney's kicking the tires on seeing what potential is there. But I think over everything, the Saudi Public Investment Fund seems like the most realistic option for somebody who could purchase the WWE and then absolutely do nothing to change it, right? Just go, yeah, no, Vince, we will take over the financial burdens and the financial gains of owning the WWE. And until you die, you continue to run the business. And when you die, you turn it over to a successor, either Stephanie, who's out of the business, or Triple H. I think, to me, that is the most realistic possibility for a sell of WWE. If NBC Universal's not, is reportedly not in the runnings, I don't think Endeavor wants to get, after seeing Dana White kind of fail in the slap fight business, I don't think that they're loving the idea of jumping into a kind of, fake fighting business, even though WWE is an established product. If you don't know what you're doing, you could fuck that up quickly. And I maybe Fox maybe is an option, but it just seems more realistic to me that Disney would be the company who could go theme parks, merchandising, movies, putting it on streaming services. Like we have the most options to do the most with it. Whereas I think that the Saudi Public Investment Fund has the most realistic ability to buy the company and just not touch it. They've done it with so many other things that they have investments in that they don't necessarily want to control. So I could see them saying, look, we could buy ownership. Vince McMahon can guarantee us 2 or 3 events a year in Saudi. And that's how they could run it. And I think ultimately that's how they are going to. I think that's what ends up happening. If WWE gets sold, it's got to get sold to somebody who will take a hands-off approach. The second article that I saw pop up that kind of piqued my interest was that Becky Lynch doesn't understand Logan Paul and Jake Paul's popularity. I hope this is a work. I hope this is Becky kind of trolling the audience, because how do you not understand the popularity of the Paul brothers? How could you of all people, right? Because your popularity is 100% built on being an over-the-top character that wrestling fans, people who believe in fake fighting, have embraced and fallen in love with. And so for you to act like you don't understand why Jake Paul and Logan Paul are popular, that's funny to me. Right? You're saying you didn't know who they were before they became boxers? You're not in their age bracket. There's this weird thing that happens as we get older where we feel like we and the things we like should be relevant. But the problem is there's always a younger generation who are discovering something or have a fan base in something we don't understand. And then we come out, and we don't include me in this, but Becky comes out and makes a statement, I don't understand. You know what, Becky? You know what I don't fucking understand? I don't understand why your husband wears all these stupid fucking suits all the time, right? I don't understand it, but it seems to be getting over with a lot of people. And the fact that that's getting over with a lot of people means I don't have to understand it for it to be a thing. Just like you don't have to understand why Logan Paul and Jake Paul are a thing, even though you don't understand why people like them. That's kind of how getting older works, Becky. And so I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny for her to say that, especially coming from an industry that is so closely related to kind of what Jake and Logan do. I would think you would understand more than anybody. I'm hoping that she was saying this from more of a story perspective of like she's Seth Rollins' wife, which I'm assuming that's where this coming from. But I have to talk about this as if possibly she was just being batshit crazy. WWE approves. Rumors are that WWE has approved a new World Championship belt design that will be debuting at WrestleMania 39. This story came from, let me pull where this is because I don't want credibility to be called into play. Comicbook.com. Interesting. I think this, though, feeds into my Roman Reigns theory. I think there's a chance Roman Reigns wins. He wins at WrestleMania 39, and they bring out a new unified title, one big, pretty WWE title. And I've heard a lot of people say, oh, no, we want to go back to the winged belt. I got to tell you guys, that's never happening. There will not be a day where WWE does not have, it's behind me, I can't grab it right now, but the big WWE style logoed wrestling belt. It's not happening because that belt is branding personified. Every time someone wins another sport championship, that is the belt they hand that person that they put on their shoulder that is immediately recognizable to be the WWE. Now, here's the secondary option. If we unify the two world titles and they become one new pretty shiny belt that still looks the same, let's say yellow strap, right? Just for argument's sake, let's say it's got a gold strap, it's got gold plates, it's very gaudy, it's gold, it's the grand championship. We debut that at WrestleMania. That leaves the door open to bring in a second world title that is a more traditional style winged belt title that then Cody Rhodes could pursue and bring glory and honor back to that title, whatever Cody's trying to do, whatever the story he's trying to tell. But yeah, I'm sorry, there's not going to be a day that WWE regresses off of. Let's see if I get it. This thing screams WWE. Like it or don't like it. Hate it, love it. It screams and yells WWE. So there's zero chance that they're going to drop this design. Could they bring in a secondary belt? Sure. They can bring back a wing belt, but it's not replacing this one. So don't get your hopes up on that. That's not happening. Last story of the day here. Ronda Rousey blasts WWE booking over her feud with Liv Morgan. I get it. I 100% get it. I think that story, look, Liv didn't go anywhere after that story. Ronda didn't really go anywhere after that story. They cut it short. They gave up on that. Ronda goes on to say that Extreme Rules, they wanted to use thumbtacks. They wanted to use tables. They wanted to get extremely extreme. And WWE just wouldn't let them. Let's drop the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, guys. Let's drop it, WWE. If we can't get Extreme, that would have been the perfect time to let Liv Morgan end the match with a bloody face or something like that. Something that you just don't expect WWE to do. That was the opportunity. I think Ronda had all the right ideas. There's parts of me that thinks I've misunderstood Ronda for so long because I don't understand. Maybe she does get the psychology of this business. But I do think that but par for the course, Ronda, that's WWE for you. If you expect them to actually follow through on a story, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, they're just not going to do it. Like, I'm expecting them to put the tag team women's championships on Ronda and Shayna. There's a big reality that doesn't happen. I mean, it's very possible. So yeah, I mean, bullshit. They didn't let that story finish out. Par for the course. That's WWE for you. All right, so third thing I want to do today is kind of start a new little topic, and this came from the Discord. We were having some conversations back and forth in the Discord, and somehow, for some reason, I don't remember why this popped into my head, but I asked the question to the Discord: how much money do you need to take a chop from Gunther? And the answers were fucking great. It had me dying. I was rolling. I think I was sitting at my desk trying to work on some other stuff for one of the other shows. And I was just dying laughing because the answers were great. There were things that I didn't think of, people were saying, and it was awesome. So I wanted to expand on that a little bit. I want to talk about, I pulled 6 moves here. And I don't have a deep understanding of wrestling maneuvers, but these were 6 maneuvers that I believe would probably hurt pretty bad in real life if somebody applied this to you in a certain way. And I'm gonna say, about what I think I would have to get to take one of these maneuvers. Let's start with a backstabber. This is a move that's been used by Sasha Banks. It's been used by I believe I want to say Primo, but maybe it was Carlito. Somebody used a backstabber. But so this is the move where they pull you down from your shoulders and you land back on the knees. I have a bad back. I've had back surgery. So this does not look appealing to me. To take a backstabber, and let's say we're taking it from a mid-card person. Let's not say we're doing it against the greatest wrestler of all time. Against a mid-card wrestler, to take a backstabber, you're going to have to write me like a $5,000 check. I think $5,000 I could say. I think that move doesn't look so dangerous that, it might feel good. It might crack your back. It actually might. There might be some like therapeutic parts to that maneuver, but I think performed wrong, I'm not going to walk for about a week. So I'm going $5,000 for a backstabber. Then I looked at Walls of Jericho, which is also a modified Boston Crab or what would it use to be, the Lion Tamer. I don't feel like my body bends in those directions. For a Walls of Jericho, 30 seconds long, $500. I think I could do 30 seconds in a Lion Tamer. 30 seconds is a long time. 15 seconds. 15 seconds in a Lion Tamer, $500. I'm in and out. I'm good with that. I think I can handle it. A figure 4 leg lock. Figure 4 leg lock. To me, something about this doesn't look like it would hurt. There's a part of me that wants to just try this. I've almost considered maybe I'll get Lauren to try and put me in a figure 4 leg lock and see if it hurts. I'm $0. $0. I'll try out a figure 4 leg lock one time, 10 seconds. Don't apply a ton of pressure. Just lock it in. I'll do it. A superplex off of the top ropes. To me, this move, every time someone does this move, I fucking cringe. I'm going to need $25,000 because I don't think I'll fall correctly. I know I'm getting injured on this. I need $25,000 to do a superplex off of the top rope. And I need to practice it on a mat for at least a week before we officially go into a ring and do it. Give me 1 week of practice, $25,000. I'll do a superplex off of the top ropes. A Rikishi Stinkface was one that was brought up in the Discord. This one to me, while extremely gross, Like you go take a shower after this one. I think if you drop me $1,000, I'll do this. Like cash at me $1,000 and Rikishi could stink face in the corner 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It's going to be gross, but you're going to get over it. Like you'll be a little humiliated when you get up. But like there's so many guys who had to do this just on a regular basis. I think, cash at me $1,000. I'll do stink face. And then last but not least, I have a Gunther chop. Now this one scares me because I've seen times where it looks like he misses and hits people in the neck, and I'm like, oh, that guy's dead, or that guy's throat is going to be fucking displaced the next day. I believe that the Gunther chop possibly moves around the organs inside your body. If I'm doing a Gunther chop, and now this was brought to my attention as well. There are two different variations of the Gunther chop. There is one where you take it in the middle of the ring, and as he's chopping you, you're allowed to kind of relieve some of the momentum by falling backwards and going down. That one probably not as painful as the one where he sets you up in the corner of the ring and your body has nowhere to go except just to take all of that momentum. So let's go corner of the ring, Gunther chop. This was suggested by multiple other people. So this is not only me. This is a group consensus that we came up with. $1 million. $1 million for a Gunther chop and all medical bills expensed. Because I don't know. Heart attack is an option. I think that your lungs could possibly shift to a new place in your body. There's a lot that could go wrong. That is a big man with a big hand, and I am not trained or prepared to take that chop. $1 million. $1 million and medical expenses, and I will take a Gunther chop. But that's it. I'll drop those in the Discord after the show, and we'll see what everybody else thinks about each one. But let's move on here to topic number 4, and that is my hot take for the week. It's been a while. I think I've tamed down. Something came up in the Discord the other day, and it got me to think I've been too nice lately, right? Everything I'm saying, like I think I took to heart. Like you can't be negative all the time. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. At least once a week. I feel like once a week I get to drop one little jewel of knowledge that's pissing me off. I get to have one hot take. My hot take this week comes from Jon Moxley going on Renee Paquette's podcast and trying to take a hot shit onto CM Punk. So this man went on the podcast, disrespectfully wouldn't call him by his name, and tried to take a hot shit on CM Punk, basically saying that when CM Punk was champion and Moxley was interim champion, Moxley had to bend over backwards in order to accommodate CM Punk. Now, it's a little bit weird to me, Mox. It's just a little bit weird to me that you think you were putting over a guy who is absolutely at every point in his career been more over than you have. There is no point in time Jon Moxley has ever been more over with any wrestling crowd than CM Punk. So you tell me how you're bending over backwards when you're not more over than CM Punk. It's just not happening, right? And then Moxley proceeded to go on to say that if he wanted to, he could unload on quote unquote a lot of people backstage. What the fuck does that mean? Sounds to me like there's a lot more than just CM Punk as a problem in AEW. It sounds to me like Moxley doesn't respect Tony Khan very much. Seems like Moxley just doesn't like any of the bullshit politics that come with professional wrestling. Well, guess what? When you work for a guy who is a fan and not a pro wrestling booker, this is what you get when you run away from WWE because Vince McMahon tells you to say a couple things that you don't like to say, which, by the way, I agree, right decision. Mox and AEW makes sense. But when you do this, there are still certain things that are going to happen. And when you have a fan and not an owner, this is the kind of shit that you can expect. But the one thing is, I didn't listen to the entire podcast. I'll admit that. I've listened to clips. I can't stomach that much of Jon Moxley, right? And I listened to it. I didn't watch it. What I'm going to need is an update from somebody who did watch the podcast. Did Jon Moxley blade during the podcast? Like, did he cut himself and bleed? Because it feels like Moxley can't go in front of a camera and can't entertain people without slicing some part of his body open so that he can bleed all over himself. So I'm wondering, did he do that during the podcast? I haven't seen it. I haven't heard. I haven't read about it, but it seems like a viable option of something he would have done. You know, but here's the problem. There's a deeper problem. This goes for Tony Khan. This goes for Jon Moxley. This goes for AEW as a whole. If this was all really about building a brand, building a company, AEW, we want to reign supreme. We want to be on the level of WWE. If this was about that, Tony Khan, CM Punk just gift wrapped the biggest beautiful present to you that you ever could receive. He has given you a year full of feuds that don't involve a world title that would blow the wrestling world, just turn it upside down. We're talking CM Punk versus the Young Bucks. We're talking CM Punk versus Kenny Omega. We're talking CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. We're talking CM Punk versus Chris Jericho. The Revenge Tour. CM Punk coming back. That's a year's worth of the fucking storylines that wrestling fans would be so invested in. But instead, we're not going to figure out how to get all these guys working together for the better good of the company. And that's why AEW is what it is. It is a me-first company. It is a bunch of guys who are worried about themselves, trying to promote themselves, and that is why that company will not succeed. Because there is nobody looking at the logo and going, we're here to better that. It's everybody's there, we're here to better me. And that is why AEW is a problem. But there's an even bigger issue at hand here. The bigger issue is that coming out of this interview, we learned that while CM Punk was injured and Jon Moxley was interim champion, Jon Moxley was not under contract with AEW? What the fuck were you thinking, Tony Khan? You literally just put your world championship on somebody who was not under contract for your company. Like, this is why people come out and say, Tony is not a boss, he's a fan. That's why they say it. It's because you hear things. I remember when this was happening, when this whole thing was going on, I was super critical. I said this was so stupid. And all the IWC fucking hardcore AEW fans came out and told me, no, this is how it has to be. You know, this makes sense. It's beautiful storytelling for Jon Moxley to squash CM Punk. And I was like, no, it fucking makes no sense. And here we are. Once again, I'm always 6 months ahead of the curve. 6 months later, we find out that Moxley didn't want to do the job for CM Punk unless CM Punk let him squash him. Then we find out that Tony Khan had CM Punk work the match when he wasn't cleared to wrestle. Hey, AEW guys, you love to take hot, steamy shits all over WWE for things they've done, for booking CM Punk while he was hurt, for treating wrestlers poorly. Where's the outrage for Tony Khan? Because this all feels back-asswards to me. Khan had a wrestler who wasn't cleared to wrestle a squash match while he had the title on somebody who wasn't under contract. Somebody make that make sense for me, please. But that is all I have for this week's show. Make sure to tell a friend to listen, like, and subscribe to the Casual Community channel. Make sure to check out all of the other content on the channel. There's lots of other stuff. I'm starting a series of other casual shows, like Casual Cravings is about food and snacks, casual music, casual video games. We're going to be doing a little bit of content. Those shows are going to be short. The main focus of this channel is still casual wrestling. But, you know, right now, wrestling is kind of a little bit in a dip, so we got to find other things to talk about. So make sure to check out all of that content. We'll keep the conversation going there. Make sure to join the Discord. Lots of cool people in there. Lots of fun things to talk about. But as always, I am the Notorious Nerdy D, and we can ring the final bell.
Notorious! Big it up!